So listen, Todd, people are sharing some advice that sounded absurd when they first heard it, but is actually really helpful. So a Reddit user named The Count, Not the Saint, put a question to the Ask Men forum. And this was inspired by some advice that they'd received from their father, which I agree with, this advice. And the advice is, when you get married, get a king bed. It'll just solve a lot of problems. I personally feel, and yes, I'm going to insert my personal opinion to all the forthcoming advice. We had a queen bed for years, and then we got a king bed. And I thought to myself, I can't believe we slept in a queen bed for so long. A king bed is like, in fact, I'm going to drop a name. We became friends with, Bobby Moynihan of SNL. We initially became friends with his wife, who is a wonderful Broadway performer, singer, dancer, actor. And we saw her in some shows, and we became friends with her. We became friends with Bobby, and he's been on my show a couple of times. And anyway, she's the one, I forget which, it doesn't matter. They had a king bed, and they were like, you can be so far apart from your partner, and then you can like roll toward them, and then you can roll away, and then roll a few more times. The way they described it was very funny the way they described it, but like the amount of times you can roll away from them and still be in the bed, it's just so much space. So anyway, it's true. No more fighting for space. Don't you love it?
Oh, I do love it. I do love it. And we have a memory foam one. So like when your partner tosses, you don't turn.
Right. Wouldn't you never go back?
Oh no, I would definitely never go back. The only other thing I do is like separate bed in separate room. That's the only thing. And the good thing is with a king size bed, no gross unnecessary touching going on.
Exactly. Occasionally when we're traveling, if we have to stay in a hotel room with a queen, I think, how are we possibly going to deal with that? And then we do, and it's fine. And I remember that, oh yeah, we are a couple, but still. Okay. So here's some other advice that this person collected. This is advice that sounded absurd, but is actually helpful. So here's one that Lemon Fizzy said. The advice I've given people is this. If you can go grocery shopping with your person and have the best time ever, you have yourself a keeper. It's all about making the best of the mundane things, because after years of being together, life becomes predictable. You need to keep the spice going regardless of what you're doing. Source, married 15 years. I personally like this one because one of my favorite things to do with Daniel, for some reason, is go grocery shopping. I'm always reminded of how much I love him in the grocery store. I don't know why. It's just it's our place.
You being serious?
Yes.
Really?
And we haven't gone grocery shopping throughout the entire pandemic. So you can imagine the state of our marriage. No, for some reason, I don't know why. Maybe there's something so domestic about it. I don't know. But for some reason, I always am like filled with warm, fuzzy, romantic, I don't mean sexual, but like romantic feelings when I go grocery shopping with him.
That is wild, because I it's the exact opposite for me, because and this falls into some of my marriage advice that I will share. But two people just overly complicates things, and it's like who's got the cart? And so then like you don't take two carts. So she's got the cart, and then in order to save time, I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to go get some peanut butter." And then I got to walk all the way across the store, find her to put the peanut butter back. It becomes a French farce soon enough. So I do not enjoy going grocery shopping with my wife. And then also it brings up things like, why are you buying the chicken breasts that are $9 when you can get the one that's $2.50? And there's some conflict that goes on there. So
okay.
Yeah.
So your advice would be, don't do errands together.
Correct. Well, I'm just going to say my advice, and I think I've talked about this on the show before, is when considering running errands and doing tasks as a couple, I always ask the important question, does this take two people?
Yeah.
If not, we're both wasting our time going to Target when I could just go, or she could just go, and then we switch off back and forth. Somebody takes the job. Some people sometimes just want to get out of the house, so some people enjoy doing the chore. But if not, then it's me and her trudging through the Target, and I got to watch her like, maybe I should try on this sundress, and then I'm like, But if she goes by herself, she could try on the sundress, do whatever she wants. That's what I think. It keeps both people happy because you're both not put out. You
It's
should use the
spec-
power of two. You know.
it's specifically for me grocery stores. Like I do not enjoy shopping at Target. I would rather be with Daniel than by myself probably if I'm going to be at Target. And also I find something like Costco overwhelming. It's just specifically a grocery store with him. I enjoy that. I don't know what it is. Okay. Here's another
Well,
one.
real
My
quick,
grandfather told me never go to bed with dirty dishes in the sink. What I learned is that he would always help my grandma, and that is when they did their most talking. What I hear when I hear that is you don't want to have bugs in your house. That's why you can't leave dirty dishes in the sink. Bugs are going to find that.
I think you're
By
right about
advice.
that. And plus, these are like grandpa. That was a grandpa giving that advice, and I'd
Yeah.
imagine things were like way more infested in like the 1950s.
Yeah.
You know, but
Yeah.
then again, people probably put just like DDT like just around the house to kill things. So
Right.
I don't know.
Here's a bit of advice that I'm going to give, and this goes against everything you hear. I think, and I would like to know what you think about this, Todd. I think it is okay to go to bed angry. You know how they're like, never go to bed angry. You know what? Go to bed angry sometimes. And here's why. When you wake up, you're going to have a different outlook on it. Here's my two pieces of advice. Talk about everything, even the small stuff. If you have first of all, don't marry someone that you don't have the ability to communicate well with. That's
Right.
three pieces of advice. Make sure you can talk about stuff. Two, if something is rattling around your brain, get it out in the open. Three, it's okay to go to bed angry sometimes. If you've try to talk about it, but it's okay. If you can't find resolution, it's okay to and you're tired, it's okay to go to bed because you're going to feel better about it in the morning. That's my thing. Because sometimes it's like what feels like a big deal at 1:30 a.m. on a Tuesday when I feel like I'm just going in circles, I'm going to wake up and it's going to feel totally different. What do you think?
I think that's a decent point. If you can sleep well, and and also, and conversely, the problem could exacerbate the more time without being completely addressed as well. Like, both of you sitting there stewing about whatever Daniel did or whatever you did, that could actually lead to worse things too. And then if you don't have time to kind of fix everything up during the day, then you're working and you're sitting
Mm-hmm.
there and you're like lamenting the whole thing. So I say if it is solvable, try to get to it that day. Because I
Well,
don't.
I guess, you know what? When they say don't go to bed angry, maybe they mean address it. I believe things should be addressed. But I guess what I mean is like if you're like sometimes Daniel and I will have a conversation and I will feel like I don't feel that we've reached the resolution of this, but I'm going to call it because it's late and I don't think that I'm in the best place right now because I'm so tired. So let's pick this up in the morning.
Yeah.
And then usually it's like I'm in a better place the next day. We both are.
Well, it's also when you're married, the cool thing is you're gonna have that fight again.
Yes, we'll revisit.
Yeah.
So true.
Next week we're gonna fight over this again. So go ahead and let's just call it right here. So.
Here's a good one. Marry him for who he is, not his potential.
Oh.
That's both depressing and also, I think, very good advice. You got to marry the person that you got to be realistic about who you're marrying.
It's funny. I've never heard about a guy that has married a woman thinking he's going to change her into something. I've never. Again, we're being a little, gender
General.
stereotypy and a little general, but I have never met a guy that's like, she's got potential. And if I
Right.
just kind of worked her, got her a little more domestic, maybe got her a better job, then she could be this perfect thing. But all the time, my wife, one of them, thinking that you can change somebody or turn me into this, perfect guy that's like, the guy in the Hallmark Channel movies,
What was she going to change you into?
Well, I'm not there yet. It would have been nice if she told me this and who she
Right.
expected me to be, because sometimes I'm just like, who you married.
That's what
Uh,
I'm saying. Like, what were the hopes?
I think actually who I am now is close to who she hoped, but it was a
Oh, that's good.
long journey, you know. So yes, but if you are going into a marriage wanting to change somebody, then at least let them know what you want the finished product to be, and whether
Yes.
that person wants to change, because that's not cool, you know. Uh,
And then lastly, Bill Maher said the three most important words in a relationship aren't I love you, they are let it go. Oddly, this has proven to be some of the best relationship advice I've ever heard. That one's good. I don't believe he's known for long-term relationships, but it's still wise.